All right, so I have never gone onto Martin Iles' channel, but I did get his channel recommended to me somehow. And there's this video from him that says Christians must understand this about gender roles. I'm interested to see what this is that we need to be understanding. I mean, I'm not a Christian, but, you know, I guess we'll just see where this goes. Go ahead and see where this goes. But first, let's go and get to the fan art section. This one is from Gadget. This is my first fan art, but here's Suris finally ready to stand up to Timer-kun. Yeah, he's just right there, dictating every aspect of my life for the next 1 day and 22 hours and 30 minutes and 28 seconds. Minimum. The next one we have here is from Ruvok. Well, someone's let him out again. Jesus Christ. The apocalyptic slime Suris just nomming on the walls. Looks like Wall Maria. The last one we have here is from Chapel John 96. I've taught whole Chan a few things, if you know what I mean. Hope you enjoy this as I sleep. Huh. Did you just fuck gravity? As always, everybody, thank you all for your fan art submissions. If you want your fan art to be shown in a future video, the best way to do so is to drop it into the fan art section of the Discord. But with that all said, let's go ahead and get right into today's topic. This is the Martin video, everybody. We're going to have it sped up just a little bit because this kind of stuff, it really tends to drag on. So let's go.
Remember, God finished creation, he said it's all very good, but he didn't actually say that. When it was only a man in creation, he said it's not good. The man wasn't quite himself. It wasn't very good by himself.
Oh, let's actually lower. Let's unspeed him up just a little bit.
And also notice that the woman was made to be with the man, for the man. They're made to be with each other. I want you to notice in Genesis the verses I'm going to pick out. It doesn't merely talk about the fact that God made a man and God made a woman. It doesn't simply talk about the fact that the human race is, as they might say, sexually dimorphic. There's a male and there's a female. It goes a little further than that. It actually talks about the fact that the man and the woman were made differently. They were made at different times. They were made out
Yeah, people are different, and
of different materials. And importantly, when God...
Wait. They weren't really made out of different materials, though. You see, if... Yeah, there's two ways we can look at this, okay? The original Jewish mythos is that Adam was created from clay. He was a golem. And then Eve, I mean, after the debacle with Lilith, Eve was created by cleaving Adam in half, basically. Then there's the Christian version of the mythos, where Adam is created from dust, and Eve is created from one of Adam's ribs. But the rib is made of Adam, so she's just made of all the same stuff that Adam's made out of. This is, either way we look at the mythos, this is just inaccurate.
God made them, he said something different about them. He said something different about what they were for, what their strengths were, what the point was. And then notice when the curse comes, in Genesis chapter 3 after the fall, the curse is applied quite differently to the man and the woman. So there's difference here. It's not just a matter
Adam, stop fucking your rib. No! Ribussy!
of biological sex. It's a matter of what the modern world would call gender. So gender expression, how you live out your biological sex. The Bible actually deals with that subject. So Genesis 1:27, a verse we're very familiar with, God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him, male and female, he created them. Then chapter 2, verse 15, it says, Then the Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work it and to keep it. Now that's the man's job, working and keeping, okay? There's only a man in existence at this point. There is no woman.
So,
chapter 2,
okay.
verse 18, Then the Lord...
We do already hit a problem, though. This was the purpose of, even within the Christian mythos, this is the purpose of men and women in the very beginning. There is nothing saying that that needs to be their purpose going forward or forever. Like, if I make a straight edge, and that straight edge, I made it for the purpose, right now, of making sure that when I'm cutting a quilt, I can cut along the straight edge and know that I'm getting a clean cut. But If I then use that straight edge to square something else, if I then use that straight edge as a self-defense weapon, if I then use that straight edge in any other manner of things, those are all valid applications of it. I may have made the straight edge for the purpose of one job, but there's nothing saying that I can't use it for multiple other jobs. Even if we accept that God made people and made man to do one thing, that does not mean that they can't do other things, that they can't be good at other things.
Lord God said, "It is not good for the man to be alone. I will make him a helper suitable for him." So, and you can see difference already. There's a different stated reason for making a woman. So the Lord God caused a deep sleep
Also, the Void Gamings. Thank you very much for the 10 bits.
to fall upon the man, and he slept. Then he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh at that place, and the Lord God fashioned into a woman the rib which he had taken from the man, and brought her to the man. Then the man said, "At last, this is bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. For this reason, a man shall leave his father and his mother, and be joined to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. And the man and his wife were both naked, but they were not ashamed." Chapter 3, verse 6. This is the curse applied differently to both. Having seen that both of them are created differently, but they're both in the image of God, they're both humans. But then chapter 3, verse 6, the curse comes down differently. It says, "When the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was a delight to the eyes, and that the tree was desirable to make one wise, she took some of its fruit and ate. And she also gave some to her husband with her, and he ate. To the woman he said, I will greatly multiply your pain in childbirth. In pain you shall deliver children. Yet your desire will be for your husband, and he shall rule over you."
Wait, no, do not lie. Do not lie when you literally have the verse right there. You literally have the verse right there. Do not say words that are not there. The verse that you have pulled up right there says your desire shall be contrary to your husband. Don't say that your desire is the same as your husband. Your desire is for your husband. That's not what it says there. That's not what the verse says. I'm not even going to be getting into the awkward idea, the idea that we have to have gender roles, the idea that men and women have to be set for different things. I'm not even going to get into the idea that God is a sadistic fuck by making childbearing such a painful process, even a deadly process for people in a world where he actually exists. I'm not going to even get into that right now. I'm just curious how, when you're reading the Bible verse right there, you still fuck it up.
"That will be for your husband, and he shall rule over you." Then to Adam he said, "Because you have listened to the voice of your wife, and have eaten from the tree about which I commanded you, saying you shall not eat from it, cursed is the ground because of you. With hard labor you shall eat from it all the days of your life. Both thorns and thistles it shall grow for you."
Wait, but it didn't say that one either. "In pain you shall eat of it all the days of your life."
"With hard labor you shall eat from it all the days of your life. Both thorns and..."
So I've always wondered, what's the point of reviewing this kind of thing? We think it's nonsense. Don't believe in their nonsensical book with. What's the difference between what he makes up and what it actually says to begin with? So what happens is you look at somebody who is a church leader. He's reading the NASB. If he's reading the New American Standard Bible, then why is he showing up quotes from ESV? It'd make more sense from a progressive Christian perspective rather than an atheist perspective, which is why I try not to tackle these things purely from an atheist perspective. I try not to tackle these things purely from... Because the atheist perspective is simple. Why the fuck are you using a book? Why the fuck are you using that book? But can you prove that book real? Can you prove God real? If you can't prove God real, then none of anything you're saying makes sense. There we go. God not proven real. Tip Fedora. We are done. That's the atheist perspective on this. That is the simple in and out atheist perspective on this. I don't like doing that, though, because I remember when I was a Christian, that would not have worked on me. I needed people who were Christians or who were speaking from within the Christian mythos. I needed that more than anything. The point of pointing this out here is that we're getting inconsistency even within the delivery from the guy who's supposed to be a church leader. We're getting inconsistency from within the delivery, which is silly. Which is very, very silly.
"And thistles it shall grow for you, yet you shall eat the plants of the field. By the sweat of your face you shall eat bread until you return to the ground, because from it you were taken, for you are dust, and to dust you shall return. Now the man named his wife Eve because she was the mother of all the living. Now, I read that because it's very interesting when you go through the Bible, even to do the exercise that I did, which is pull out the stuff said to women, pull out the stuff said to men. It never departs too far from what we just read. You have here certain foundation stones, certain blueprints, which really start to define the way the Bible treats the whole subject of male and female. These foundations are very significant, and I want to go through them carefully. Firstly, the foundations which teach us the ways in which man and woman are the same. Notice that they were both, and I emphasised this when I read it, Genesis 1:27, they're both made in the image of God. Both made in the image of likeness of God. So here's the important point to remember in everything that is said. They are equal before God in all substantive respects. That is that they are fully human, they are fully enabled to have full relationship to God, they have equal levels of dignity, they have equal levels of humanity.
I'm sensing a butt coming. I'm sensing the butt coming.
They are equal in all substantive respects before God. They are fully enabled to image God. The differences that are described, therefore, in Scripture are only related to a distribution of roles in God's design. It has nothing to do with their substantive equality before God, nothing at all. It's just difference of function, difference of emphasis, difference of place in God's design. None is more superior than the other. Secondly,
it's interesting to me that he makes note that none is more superior than the other, and yet when we see the way that most, especially like Baptist Christians, look at gender roles, they actually do argue that men are superior to women repeatedly, in that they shouldn't be allowed to have agency over themselves, they should be treated like property, they shouldn't be allowed to vote, things like that.
Note, there's the same in this respect. Each was meant to be with the other. Notice that the man was not quite himself by himself. Remember, God finished creation, he said it's all very good, but he didn't actually say that when it was only a man in creation. He said it's not.
No. That's not quite what happened, my guy. So if you actually read through Genesis, which, given the confusions between your translation you're showing on screen and the translation you're reading to your flock, I think might be a bit of a trouble for you. God did not create everything and go, yes, it's kind of good. Let me do the last step so it will be fully good. No. God created everything in the Bible, and then he asked Adam to find himself a mate among the animals. He asked Adam to be a zoo. He asked Adam to do the bestiality. He asked Adam to look at an emu and go, them feathers looking frisky. That's what he asked. That's what he wanted. And then Adam, upon trying all the animals, not very explicit on if he just looked at them and decided, maybe not, or if he actually did the thing, Adam realized he didn't like animalacy. And because he didn't like animalacy, he told God, hey, I couldn't find a suitable mate from among the literal flock of sheep you have given to me. And then, after that, God said, okay, let me try this instead. And then he, sliced Adam in half or carved a rib out of him, depending on which translation, which religion you're looking at for this mythos, because again, there's a lot of ways this mythos happens. There's also the mythos that involves Lilith. And when he does that, then Adam has a person, because now he's actually got a person. Every other animal had a female counterpart, but Adam didn't need a female counterpart. But Adam was made in God's image, which means God likes to fuck rats. The only conclusion I can get here is that the God of the Bible did not expect that Adam would need a mate other than the animals, which means God is a zoo. That's all I can get to. God has to be. God has to be a fucking zoophile. There's no way around it. If he made Adam in his image, and he expected Adam to want animal taint, that's the only thing I can get to. I think that's the only thing I got there.
Good. The man wasn't quite himself. It wasn't very good by himself. And also notice that the woman was made to be with the man, for the man. They're made to be with each other. Finally, they're given joint authority over. I
find it really funny how uniquely every other animal had multiple genders or multiple sexes, multiple ways of existing. Not the human.
The earth, this dominion mandate we talked about last night. to have dominion over, to subdue the earth, etc., etc. That is a joint job to do. They are jointly to be fruitful and multiply. They are jointly to rule over the earth. So those are the ways in which they're the same.
Ah, yes, every animal was made in such a way that they could do coitus with one another and create offspring, but God made humans in such a way that they could not. They functionally couldn't do that for reasons, I guess. Genesis really doesn't make any sense when you break it down.
But I want you to notice some ways in which they are described differently. They are made at different times, as I said. They are made from different materials, although the man is derivative of the dust, so anyway. But they're made of different materials. And the way that is described is it accentuates their need of each other. The difference of time, the way that unfolded. One was made, oh, that's not good enough. We need another one, right? It also has an impact on their roles later in the Bible. You'll know that in the New Testament it teaches things like headship for men and this kind of thing. That's because of the order of creation, one then the other.
That's just a very, very brisk way to say, oh, actually, men are supposed to be over women. Hierarchical men are supposed to be over women. It's just a very, very quick and dirty way of doing it. So this is one of those things that I think is very, very sneaky. It's blatant when we're looking at somebody who is Christian and is arguing that misogyny is actually good. It's very, very blatant when they do that, but this one is more subtle. It sounds more... Vapid's not really the word for it. It doesn't sound as sinister when somebody does this as opposed to what we hear from, like, the NIFB as an example. This is just a very quick and dirty, yeah, no, men were created first, so we should be the head of the house. We should be the ones in charge. We should be the ones with power. It doesn't actually follow. The firstborn in a household is not necessarily the one who should have all the responsibilities in the household merely because they were born first, because sometimes that just means they're an asshole. But okay, sure. The illogical nonsensory aside.
Also, it's really quite emphasized when you read this part of the Bible, that they are made for different stated purposes. God said he made them for the same reason in one sense, like we just said the things that were the same, but different reasons in another sense. Notice also that male and female fell in a different order, and the curse was applied to them in different ways. Notice some words to paint the differences.
I like how in Christian theology, the curse is applied differently, and for men, it's that they just have to work to get food. But for women, it's they have to bleed out of their vaginas, and they have to have terrible childbirth times. But if a woman doesn't have a man in her life within this theology, then the woman has to work the fields to get food as well. She has to labor to get food just as much. So, it's not different ways of applying the curse. It's literally just women have it worse. It is not different. It's just worse.
Notice that in chapter 2, we read that the man was described as the one who is to be worker and keeper. That was the job he was given. Now, when we look at the word worker, and I'm no expert in Hebrew, so excuse me, but I will just read the word as it's written. But the word is abad, and it is used in the context of laboring and working in service to serve. Okay? That was a job he was given. Service-based labor. So in other words, for others, basically, for a cause, for something else, not himself. Secondly, he's made the keeper, or he's to keep. And the Hebrew word is shamar. And it means, this is sort of the spectrum of meaning, it means to have charge, it means to guard, it means to watch, it means to protect, to save, to defend, as in a fortress. Okay? So there's the spectrum of meaning there. So there's quite a rich word. Then you come to
this brings us back to the whole, fellas, is it gay to like warrior woman thing that me and Vice Rhino did?
the woman, and two words are used about her as well, which are not used about the man. And it's more deliberate in the case of the woman, it feels like when you read it. The first word that's used in the English translation is helper. And the word is
Yep, here's the to make them a helpmeet thing.
Ayzer, A-Y-Z-E-R. And what it means, obviously, is to help. It means to give or to render aid, to bring aid. It means, this is a really strange, old-fashioned word. For those who know it, it's a pretty good one. You know the word succor, S-U-C-C-O-U-R. It means to nourish, to nurture, to strengthen, to give support, to give aid. And And you know, there's actually an angle in that word where it's especially used in contexts of difficulty, amplified in hardship and difficulty.
I wonder if he would accept the fact that gay couples can have these roles just as well. I wonder if he would accept the fact that there's lesbian couples that can have somebody who acts as guard, that acts as the breadwinner there, and one person can act more as the helpmeet here. Would he be okay with that? Is that a thing? Do you think he'd be all right with that? I don't know. He did the whole like slip in the misogyny, slip in the hierarchical men are supposed to be above women thing. He did that really smoothly. I wonder if he would dodge that question.
Now, the other word that's used about the woman is very clear. Adam called his wife Eve because she was the mother of all the living. So the other word that is used in this part of the Bible is mother. And I want you to notice something really very interesting. They are made not just with different descriptive words, but they are made with different, I'm going to say the word orientations. They're oriented, the man is actually made facing the garden. He's made to work to keep in the garden, in the world. Do you notice the woman is made with a slightly different, looking in a slightly different direction?
Wait, what? What? When was she made looking in a different direction? Wait. What Bible verse talks about the directions that they are facing?
She's actually made oriented towards the man. She's made facing the person rather than the world. It's a very interesting distinction. And
I mean, isn't that literally just circumstance, though? If Adam was made from dust, then he would only be able to face the world. And if Eve was made from Adam, then the first thing she might see is literal rib daddy. That doesn't seem to have any significant meaning other than that's kind of what would just naturally happen. But, okay.
And the words that we just described describe each of the man and the woman in those orientations, in that posture. These are simple foundation stones. In fact, it comes down to what? I just mentioned like 4 words, plus the orientation point. You have something very powerful here.
No, you really don't. You have what happens when an entire group of people base their entire lives on reading the same book over and 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 over again ad infinitum, trying desperately to make it more and more and more interesting for themselves by gleaming more and more meaning that isn't there. Like, just if you want to see this phenomenon happen out in the natural world, if you want to see this phenomenon happen outside of religion, out in the natural world, I want you to look at the video essay phenomenon on YouTube, right? Video essays are amazing. They are fun. They are really engaging when they're done right. But how many ways over the years can we reanalyze the exact same stories over and over again and make new video essays about them that are saying anything fundamentally different or interesting? Eventually, we run out of things to say unless we start imposing meaning on them. Unless we start imposing, like, if we have a video essay about a video game, let's say Sonic Adventure 2, and you go about every single angle you could think of to analyze that story, you would get done with just the fan base of that game, which is smaller than the fan base of the Bible, mind you. You would be done with every possible way you could analyze that in about a few years. 2, 3, 4, maybe 5. Every possible angle you could have for analyzing that game, its production, its story, its themes, you'd be done. What happens after that? Well, then you get into fan theory stuff. You start having to do fan theories. And those are interesting too. Those are amazing. They're fun ways to re-engage with things you do until you start, even when you start getting into like the fan fiction stuff of the what if scenarios. I've written some of that over on my Suris video channel. When you start getting into that era of something, you are now moving far and away past what the original purpose of the story was, what the original design of the story was. You are having to impose more meaning on it. You're having to do more with it. Now, the reason I want to show you that is that thing has happened. Not just with Sonic Adventure 2, but with a variety of fictional stories, games, TV shows, anime, manga, stuff that we have seen, done, overanalyzed, over-researched, to the point where, yeah, consuming more media about it's fun, But there's only so many ways you can re-look at the story of Sonic Adventure 2. There's only so many ways you can re-look at the story of Dragon Ball Z. There's only so many ways you can re-look at these things before you start having to do the what-ifs and the fan theories. The Bible's no different. The Bible is a work of media like any other. At a certain point, you start having to impose meaning on it or extrapolate meaning out of it that's not there. Salem says religion is really the definition of a cult fandom. In a lot of ways, it can be. There are many religions that operate that way, that operate closer to how fandom operates instead of how you would imagine a religion is supposed to operate, where it's just, this is a structured set of rules for living your life. These are the ways you worship your deity. Like, that's what a religion's supposed to be, but it operates closer to fandom more often than not. It's true. So, I bring all this up to go and point out that when we watch videos like this, they are not as flagrant as stuff like what the NIFE puts out. They are not as pushy with their message as stuff that the actual cult leaders we've covered on this channel talk about. But they're doing a lot of the same things, just from a different angle. And viewing that angle is interesting, but you still need to be aware that you're looking at the exact same material over and over and over and over again. Ask yourself, are you on your 5th reading of this because you enjoy it, or are you on your 5th reading of this because you are trying to figure out what else you can glean from it? As somebody who's reread quite a few books in my life, sometimes you're just doing it for fun. You don't have to do more than that. But it's almost more harmful because people are more likely to listen to them because they aren't obtuse nutbags. Yep, there is an angle to that has to be explored, where it can be more harmful to be more subtle, because more people will fall for stuff like this as a result. People will hear this and go, yeah, you're right. I say this as somebody who had the experience of having an abusive stepfather. And my mom stayed with him for so long, not because of me or because she truly, truly loved him to that degree. The love had been gone for a long time. My mom stayed with him because the Bible told her to. I'm not even joking. I heard more than one time in my childhood that the Bible says he's the head of the house, and so. Despite the fact that there were instances where this guy didn't clean the house, didn't have a job, would not let me have any freedoms whatsoever in the house. Like, literally, I was apparently interrupting this man when he was reading about football on the computer when I was trying to tell my dog Yoshi to come to me. And I just got told to shut up from there. Like this dude was a useless bag of nuts. And yet, he was the head of the house because he had a dick, I guess. That's as far as I ever got as a good reason. And that wasn't even a good reason there. That's the type of poison that can happen here when you listen to stuff like this and you internalize it, as opposed to looking at the Bible as a grouping of stories of other people's lived experiences, real or imagined, throughout the years. If you look at it instead as a guide for your entire life, you end up in that situation where you start having apologetics for abuse because you feel you have to. That's just what happens in these scenarios. And it's not fun, it's not great, but it is reality. But this is where I gotta throw it back to you guys. What do you think about all of this? Do you think that I'm overanalyzing his sermon now? Do you feel like maybe we've gone a smidge too far here? Or do you think that actually we've got some valid points and maybe people need to step a couple steps away from praxis and dogma when they are practicing their religions? Let me know in the comments section below. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, everybody, insert in the video tagline here.